You meet someone new. It feels different this time. Exciting, magnetic, almost faded. They understand you in a way no one else ever has. You think, maybe this is finally it. But weeks, months later, it starts again. The same arguments. The same emptiness. You feel unseen, unheard, drained, and you whisper to yourself, why does this keep happening to me? Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That's what's happening here. You are not unlucky in love. You're repeating a psychological loop that was written long ago. Your mind is trying to finish a story it didn't know how to end. You're not cursed. You're being called to awaken. Every person you meet acts as a mirror. They reflect the parts of yourself you can't see or refuse to see. The wrong people are not random. They appear when it's time for you to meet a part of yourself you've been avoiding. If you keep meeting emotionally unavailable people, maybe a part of you is unavailable to your own emotions. If you keep attracting those who betray you, maybe you've been betraying your own boundaries. This is not punishment. It's reflection. The universe keeps showing you the same lesson until you see it clearly enough to learn it. Jung called it the shadow, the side of your personality that you hide from the world. It's everything you deny, suppress, or feel ashamed of. But the more you reject it, the more power it gains. It starts controlling your choices from the dark. You think you're choosing freely, but your shadow is pulling the strings. You may say you want love and peace, but if your shadow believes love equals chaos, you'll chase chaos every time. Until you bring that darkness into the light, it owns you. To meet your shadow is to reclaim your freedom. You attract what you haven't healed, not because you want pain, but because your psyche is trying to repair what's broken. You're drawn to people who fit the emotional shape of your past. If love was conditional in childhood, unconditional love feels unfamiliar, even boring. So you chase excitement that hurts, because that's what love used to feel like. This is called trauma chemistry, the powerful attraction between two people whose wounds match. It feels like magic, but it's actually memory. Healing begins when you stop chasing the familiar and start choosing what's healthy, even when it feels uncomfortable. Jung believed our lives are guided by ancient patterns called archetypes. You don't just fall for people. You fall for archetypes. Maybe you always attract the savior, someone who wants to fix you, or the rebel, someone who embodies the freedom you repress, or the wounded one, someone whose pain mirrors your own. Archetypes are not bad, they're stories. But if you don't know which story you're living, it starts living you. Once you see the archetype behind your attraction, the spell breaks. We often confuse intensity for intimacy. That rush, that spark, that instant chemistry. It's not always a sign of destiny. It's often your unconscious saying, I know this energy. It reminds you of someone. A parent, a caretaker, a wound. Real connection is quieter. It grows slowly through safety and trust. But when you've been trained to chase emotional highs, calm love feels foreign. The work is learning that peace isn't boring. It's healing. Every one of us wears a persona, the mask we show the world. You might wear confidence to hide insecurity, kindness to hide resentment, strength to hide exhaustion. The problem is we attract not what we pretend to be, but what we truly are underneath. If your outer mask says, I don't need anyone, you'll attract people who take you at your word. The universe doesn't listen to what you say. It listens to what you believe. Drop the mask. Real love can only find the real you. Jung taught that within each of us live two energies, the masculine animus and the feminine anima. When one of these energies is wounded, we attract its imbalance outside of us. If your inner masculine is weak, you may attract controlling partners, people who dominate decisions. If your inner feminine is wounded, you may attract cold or emotionally distant partners. But when both sides unite inside you, logic and intuition, strength and softness, you stop seeking balance outside. You become whole. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This is projection, when you place your own denied feelings onto someone else. You might accuse someone of being selfish when, deep down, you've never allowed yourself to put your own needs first. Or you fall in love with someone's confidence because you've repressed your own. Projection blinds us. But once you realize you're seeing yourself through them, not them through yourself, you wake up. At first, they seem perfect. You project your light onto them, your potential, your hopes, your beauty. But no human can hold that much light. Eventually, they disappoint you. And when the illusion breaks, you feel betrayed. But it wasn't them who changed. It was your projection fading. We fall in love with reflections, not people. Real love begins when projection ends. When you can see someone clearly, flaws and all, and stay. Every heartbreak returns you to yourself. Every rejection reveals where you abandoned your own truth. That person didn't take anything from you. They simply mirrored what you hadn't yet given yourself. Healing means reclaiming your lost pieces, confidence, boundaries, self-worth. It means remembering that your value doesn't depend on who stays or who leaves. It's found in how deeply you choose to stay with yourself. Behind every adult heartbreak lives a child still longing for love. That inner child remembers how it felt to be unseen, unheard, or dismissed. So, every time you meet someone emotionally unavailable, that child wakes up and says, maybe this time I'll finally be chosen. But love doesn't heal through repetition. It heals through reparenting. You must become the one who gives that child what it never received: attention, protection, love without conditions. That's how you stop attracting pain disguised as love. Awareness changes everything. When you start recognizing your patterns, who you chase, who you avoid, what triggers you, you become conscious. You stop being a character in your old story. You become the author. The moment you say, I see it, the pattern loses its control. You stop blaming, start observing. You respond instead of react. And that's how true healing begins, not through force, but through awareness. Jung called transformation alchemy, turning base metals into gold. Psychologically, that means turning pain into wisdom. When you reflect instead of react, you transmute your emotions. Anger becomes clarity. Grief becomes depth. Loss becomes compassion. This is the art of emotional alchemy. You don't suppress the darkness. You integrate it. That's how the unconscious becomes conscious. There comes a moment when the old patterns stop feeling attractive, when chaos no longer excites you, when silence feels safer than begging for love. That's the moment the spell breaks. You no longer crave what hurts. You no longer chase ghosts. You start desiring people who bring peace, not adrenaline. And that's when your frequency shifts. For Jung, the ultimate goal was not love, success, or fame. It was wholeness. Meeting the self means seeing every part of you, light and dark, and loving it all. When you know yourself deeply, you stop using relationships to fill the void. You become a source of love, not a seeker of it. That's when everything changes. Because when you finally meet yourself, you stop chasing mirrors. Conscious love is not perfect. It's not about never fighting or never triggering each other. It's about awareness, noticing when your wounds meet and choosing understanding instead of blame. You communicate instead of manipulate. You express instead of suppress. You grow instead of repeat. That's what mature love looks like. Not fireworks, but a steady flame that never burns out. Healing isn't linear. You'll fall into old habits sometimes. That's okay. But now you'll notice faster. You'll feel your intuition whisper, we've been here before. And this time, you'll choose differently. That's what growth looks like. Not perfection, but awareness and repetition of new choices. Every time you choose peace over chaos, your past loses power. In truth, there were never wrong people, only necessary ones. Each of them carried a lesson your soul needed to evolve. They awaken your shadow, your fears, your strength. They hurt you, yes, but they also shaped you. You can hate them or you can thank them, because every person who broke you also broke your illusion. And that's how light entered the cracks. And one day, you realize you no longer attract the wrong people, because you stopped being the version of you who needed them. You've integrated your shadow, healed your inner child, balanced your energies. You don't chase love, you embody it. Wholeness attracts wholeness. And Jung would say, you don't become enlightened by imagining light, but by making the darkness conscious. When you do that, you finally stop seeking love to complete you because you've already become the love you were looking for. Dizzy,